Welcome to the Pressbox, presented by the Permian Basin Youth Football League.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pressbox. I am still the Mario.
And I'm still the Matt.
There you go.
You're stealing my stuff.
I know. Well, I see what you did there.
Yeah. It's
But,
championship edition.
Championship edition. You thought I was excited about week 2. Good golly molly. I cannot wait for some of these matchups this week. Pretty action-packed week, though, this weekend.
Great games where I was at.
Goodness.
Some blowouts on the other fields, but great games on the D2 side.
Yep.
D1 was, it was
Pretty-
hit and miss.
Yeah. We had some double overtimes. We had,
Last second.
yes,
Stops for
winning
wins.
drives. Yes. Defensive stops. It was pretty fun. It was
Yeah.
pretty action-packed. So, we're going to go over some of those matchups. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll start with D1 flag.
All right, D1 flag, the first one up. Looks like the Gators and the Rebels went at it, and Claytor's Gators didn't disappoint. I think he just put in his work, tuning it up for the championship.
Yeah.
Put away the Rebels 26-6, and I don't know what else to say about that.
I really expected it to be a tight one, but they blew them away.
Yeah. So then you have this one here got me. The score. I actually had to think about it for a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, I guess it was the Cowboys Panthers little flag rematch there, 9-6.
Yeah, 9-6.
Is there a safety in there?
There was a safety.
There it
And
is. Okay.
It really comes back to situational awareness and putting your players in a position to succeed.
Uh-oh.
And, they called a decent game up to that point, but as a coach, you really got to be mindful of where you're at on the field. And that was the difference in the ball game. Shotgun snap into the end zone. Player never really stood a chance to get out of there. So
Man.
that, obviously 2 points wasn't the difference in the game, but you get the 2 points in the ball back. And that was the difference in the game.
So no chance for the Panthers to drive down the field and kick a field goal?
No, you
When
really
was
take the
last
ball
time
out of your
you kicked
players' hands when you do something like that. So, it is what it is, but
Tough loss.
coaches
So,
got to own that one.
yeah, Cowboys Gators matchup for that championship and D1 flag. So
Claytor's Gators.
Claytor's
We knew that
Gators.
from about week 3.
we did. So no surprise there. No surprise with Claytor's Gators. But
Are you back on the Chooch bandwagon?
man, are we picking that now? No.
All right.
No. That
So
one's
you're
gonna
not
be
on
fun
the
to
Chooch
watch.
bandwagon.
Not this week. I'm not.
All right.
This one's gonna be fun to watch. A lot of big names. We got Diego. Not right, Diego over on the Gators.
Diego Magana.
What was he? Overall MVP?
Co-MVP.
Co-MVP, that's right. And then you've got Chooch and gang at the Cowboys. A lot of firepower, both sides of the ball. But I think Claytor's Gators have that extra round of ammo that will take the Cowboys away. Put the Cowboys away.
All right. That's going to cover D1 flag. As far as this past week's matchups, we'll cover the championship matchups here in just a little bit. All right, moving on into D2 flag. And to be honest with you, 2 of the best flag games I've really ever seen.
It was crazy.
intense. And the cool thing was the way the fields are set up, you're sitting on right in the middle, watching both of them.
Looking one way.
And the coaches on either team are kind of looking back and forth to see who they're going to play. And nobody knew who they were going to play until the final whistle.
That's true.
In either game. So
That's true.
that was a really neat deal. First game we'll cover is the Cougars and the Steers.
Shocker to me.
Well, the Cougars came in undefeated.
Correct.
And they were up. Well, actually, they were down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
And
That's the shocker.
for me watching the game from the sideline, Dean Rico for the Steers was the man. He was every time they needed a big play, it was Dean Rico.
He was there.
And in the fourth quarter, inexplicably, they started spreading the ball around. And Jalen Bishop, he's me as a coach, if I'm playing against the Cougars, I say, you know what, we just got to get a body on that kid. If we get a body on him, we've got a chance once you get to the second level. And they could never really get a body on him. And he made multiple plays. Now, there were times that Dean got to the secondary and just broke it free. So
Correct.
But up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing by 1.
34-33 to the Cougars. But yeah, that was fun to watch. Like you said, we're standing in the middle of two of these fields, and you've got, just to give you a paint the picture there, you got the Cougars and Steers on one side, you've got the Mustangs and Buffaloes on the other. Crowd roars, and man, I'm rubbernecking over here. What's going on? What I miss? And both teams were going at both fields were pretty action packed. It was fun. But talking about that other matchup, that was the Mustangs and the Buffaloes. A little rematch from, of course, the Buffaloes, who knocked off the Mustangs in the regular season, or as far as ended their undefeated season up to that point. And that one went into double overtime.
Yeah.
Double overtime. And, of course, that one came down to the conversion, which the Buffaloes were able to get. And did that one end with the Mustangs not converting or the Buffaloes converting? I can't even remember.
That ended up with the Mustangs not converting.
They
fumbled the snap.
That's what it was.
To go in. And the conversion play, Ryder Green for the Buffaloes really put the team on his back. Literally put the team on his back.
Yeah.
Made several big plays. Him and Gavin Smiley were really going back and forth.
Yep.
The difference to me, it came down to, was Gavin, he'd get to the outside in his breakaway, it's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Ryder would literally weave his way through the defense, missed opportunities right and left. And on his last conversion, snap right up the middle, he bubbles the snap, runs right into the back of his lineman. You think they got him bottled up, and boom, he's in the end zone.
That's true.
And Cougar or the Panther or Mustangs coaches and Mustangs fans, everybody thought ball game, we won, and the ref signaled touchdown.
That's correct.
And
it was it got loud.
It was intense, but you know what? They accepted it, and they came back and they scored, and they went for the conversion and just weren't able to put it in.
That was fun to watch. Those two games right there side by side. So in the championship, at the end, it's going to be the Cougars and the Buffaloes for the championship in D2 flag. And
how'd they do when they played earlier this year?
D2 flag looks like the Cougars blanked the Buffaloes 24-0 in the regular season. So will that happen again? I don't know. I mean, like you said, who was that, Ryder over there?
Yeah, Ryder Green.
He just looked a whole lot like he's got it more together than he did the first time we saw him.
And they were even
quicker, yes.
The steer coaches that were out sharing the sideline with the Mustangs were even looking over and saying, where did this kid come from for the Buffaloes?
Exactly.
Where was he? Well, he's been there, but now he's found his niche, and he's a different kid. He changes the team. So we'll get to our predictions on that, but it's going to be a really good game. I mean, either which way, either matchup, any of the four teams could have gotten in there, and it'd have been a good matchup. So
that's true.
That's what you want to see. You want to see a lot of competitiveness. You don't want to see teams just blowing everybody's away, blowing the doors off teams.
Not at this level.
No, you want to see them getting in there, and it's going to be a good game to watch. So Cougars, Buffaloes, D2 flag, championship matchup. Let's see what happens. Okay, moving into the D1 freshman. Looks like the first matchup on the docket is going to be this blowout that happened that we were just talking about. Blowouts, second round. I mean, I think that was a shot heard around the world. Cowboys, Gators. Cowboys just absolutely blanked the Gators. 50-0. I mean, I think I was talking to JC actually last night, and apparently he touched the ball 4 times and scored 4 times. Yeah, so somebody, I guess it was JC's mom, has already sent in a highlight play, and you can pretty much encapsulate that whole game into that one play. He takes the ball, runs straight to the sideline, and they don't even make an attempt. There's Gators all around him. Nobody reaches out. Nobody puts a hand on him. They're tripping over themselves. They weren't ready. Like Kevin Hart said, they wasn't ready.
That's not the team to not be ready against by any means.
No. And I ran into Coach Chuck. He's humble in victory, and I met him at the barbecue wagon, and he had nothing but good things to say about the Gators and their staff, and it's more than I would expect, because you got to put a better product out on the field. You got to have these kids prepared, and they weren't prepared in the least bit, and that's not their fault.
Right.
So wasn't a good game for Gator fans.
No.
Wasn't a good look for the Gators organization, but, Clater moving up next year with that freshman division, maybe he gets things fixed.
Gets a little spark over there.
Is he moving up?
Maybe not.
Either
2
way,
years.
Got to do something.
At some point, he's going to have to, I think. But the other matchup, looks like it was the Panthers that was a 2 versus 3. Panthers versus the Seahawks. And that one was 28-7. So, same thing there. I think Panthers they were ready to go. Just fine-tuning, getting ready for that championship. I personally don't think that the Seahawks were ever a threat. There was nothing for them to quote-unquote worry about.
Well, and I've only been able to watch the Seahawks play one time this year, and it was against the Texans. But even against the Texans, they were very one-dimensional. It was Sean Abron right, Sean Abron left, Sean Abron up the middle. At some point, you're going to run into a team, especially in the second round of the playoffs, where the coaches adapt.
Yeah.
The game plan. They know what you're going to do, and they have the players that stop it. And the Panthers have plenty of players that stop it.
Plenty of players.
28-7, to me, it could have been worse, but puts them in the second round against those Cowboys and another shot at them. The last time they played the Cowboys, it was one touchdown game at halftime. And then, for lack of a better term, the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
The Cowboys got a quick touchdown. There was some subbing going on that was a little early for my taste. You want to keep those kids in the game mentally, and also you want to set them up for the next time you face that team. You don't want to have that bitter taste in your mouth that we got blown out.
But it almost sounds like the Astros, a little early sub in there in that World Series. But we're not going to talk about that. But regular season game, Cowboys Panthers 25-0. But that didn't all happen in one quarter. That was, like you said, that's when the wheels fell off, and your wheels cannot fall off against Cowboys. So, Panthers Cowboys in the championship, a rematch from regular season of 1 versus 2. Great matchup, I think, and may the best team win.
Absolutely. All right, next up, we're going to talk about the D2 freshman games from this past weekend. First game we're going to hit on is the Steers took on the Broncos, and I'll let you.
Well, that game, I'm not saying I wasn't doing my job, but I was, like we talked about earlier, these two fields were side by side, and every now and then you sneak a peek at what's going on next door. And this one, in my opinion, we all know what the Steers have been doing all season to their opponents. This one only ended up being 25-0. A blowout to me is, 50-0. Those are blowouts. Yeah. But in the second round, the Buffaloes, from what I saw in the first half and heard at halftime, they were actually putting up a fight. They had their big old boy, I think that is Santiago, their running back. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think they were starting to use him right. They didn't, as they did with us, just run him out of gas in the first quarter. They paced it a little bit better.
Yeah, he had some big runs in the second half.
Yes. And, I think that was the difference. Their defense must have sort of figured out what to do with Robert Evans, maybe. He still did his work. Don't get me wrong, but he just wasn't running absolutely wild as he has all year. So, good job, Buffaloes. Holding a scoring an offense like that. It's 25. So, but they still lost.
Yeah,
sorry.
25 is 25.
It is.
So moving on, we had the Mustangs and the Compass Cougars,
mm-hmm.
and it was not quite as bad as the first time, but
mm-hmm.
it was still 27-0 Mustangs, and I don't know. The Cougars had a good season. First year, make it to the second round of the playoffs, but
mm-hmm.
it shows they still got some work to do.
What's what I told Mr. Harshberger. I said, hey, welcome to the league. Great first year. You came, you saw, now you know what to expect. He's got a great organization over there. There's just work to be done, growing to be had. Is that correct? So good luck next year. We look forward to seeing you guys, and that sets up the championship rematch.
Oh, wow.
Big Spring Steers and the Andrews Mustangs from week 1.
Mm-hmm.
That one was 18-7 in favor of the Steers. So this one's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a battle. I think. I don't know that the score is gonna be super high. I mean, two good defenses. We'll see how it goes, but gonna be a good game to watch for sure. Moving on into D1 Junior Varsity, we're gonna start with the Cowboys Gators. Round 2, Beck versus Carl Pritchard, Jason DeCrepin, Chad Thompson, the whole Gator squad. This game was kind of what I would have expected from the first game. 6-0 Cowboys win is more representative of what the Gators are capable of. I really think they let one get away. I've heard there was a late turnover that probably could have been avoided, but kudos to the Cowboys and Coach Beck and coming out and making it back-to-back rounds to the championship.
Back-to-back rounds to the championship. So, Cowboys moving on. Second game.
Second game was Panthers and Mustangs. First time they played, what was the outcome of that one? His Mustangs won, but it wasn't by 12-8.
I believe you're right.
And this time it was 13-7. So they were consistent. Unfortunately for the Panthers, they were consistently on the short end of that scoreboard. So,
Correct.
Contrasting styles. One team's a ground and pound, one team's an air it out. And when you're trying to put points on the board, air it out usually wins.
Weapons of mass production.
Yeah.
That would be this squad, correct?
Yep. So Coach Nathan, his first year in the league, is going to make a run for the championship and see if he can get one of those rings.
Man, Cowboys, Mustangs. We'll see how that one works out.
Well, last time they played, it was Cowboys, right? The
Cowboys,
took that one.
Mustangs. Cowboys took that one. That was a close one, 19-12.
19-12.
Regular season.
So I think it'll be a good game. I'm not going to go too far into it, but another good matchup for us to watch out for.
There we go. Okay, moving into the D2 JV. First matchup was the Andrews Mustangs and the Pecos Eagles. Young man over here, Mr. Matt versus Mr. Hector. Two great organizations, good coaches, dueling it out. I watched this one, and it came down to one of those defensive stops late in the game. I mean, it went back and forth. I say it went back and forth. It was 12-6, not much scoring. I mean, it wasn't something that you score, they score. It was a defensive, I think, battle. Hector ran out of timeouts at the end of the game. He was driving to put up that tie, I think, but yeah, I mean, I saw Hector's reaction when the time ran out. He knew it. Everyone else knew it. So, but kudos to Hector and his squad this year. Kudos to this guy right here. Congratulations to the Mustangs JV as they are going to the ship.
Well, like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
You got to say it with the same lisp. Can you
I
do
don't
that?
I don't want to piss him down. No, I'm good. No, we had a plan. And our plan was to come out with MJ Peterson and wear them down and then hit them with Tommy Evans, and they punched us in the mouth.
Yeah.
So shout out to Coach Hector and his boys, CJ Correa, Tareen, Acosta, all of them. I mean, they came out, they executed. Fortunately for us, our defense had the bend but don't break mentality and made the stops when we needed to. Tommy Evans put on his cape and he bailed us out of that game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts to it. We didn't play our best, but we were able to get by. And I would have it no other way against a great coach and a great team, and come down to the wire. But man, stressful.
Yeah, it was again. There were a lot of good matchups on this field, from the flag up to this point. I mean, things were still going strong, and that was another good one. That was a good one to watch.
Yep.
So the second matchup that we had was the Steers versus the Broncos, and that one, it's deceiving. It's very deceiving. It's 27-6, but you would not have ever guessed that if you were watching that game. I mean, the Steers, it looked like, were doing a lot of the battling. It looked like they were trying to come from behind to me, but they were winning. And the Broncos, I mean, they had a late before the Steers put up their last score. Broncos were driving, turned the ball over, and 2 plays later the Steers punted in, and then it just, as we've said before,
from there.
the wheels fell off. So,
that game was going on while I was playing, and I was one of those coaches that was, all right, what's going on that field? What's the score? What's it looking like?
Yeah.
Which was really premature for me because we weren't even for sure going to win until the clock hit 0.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it was like I said, it was a great set of games from a spectator standpoint, but from a heart rate standpoint, not so much.
Not good. You'll be carrying the medication with you all over the field.
So the next Super Bowl or championship matchup is Mustangs and Steers in the JV division. Gonna be a good one.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Deja vu.
Go ahead. There you go.
All over again. All right, rounding out last week's games, we had the Varsity for D1. We had the Oilers taking on the Rebels, and it was all Oilers all day.
Oilers in this matchup.
So, they tuned up. They tuned up for next week's matchup. So look for the Oilers to come in with a lot of momentum, a lot of good mojo.
Mm-hmm. No pun intended.
Oh, it was a Rebels thing.
Oh.
No sympathy laughs. We're good.
Oh, okay.
The next matchup was the Cowboys and Gators, and yeah.
That one was also a shutout. So you got 2 rounds here. The teams that lost didn't score. The teams that won put up quite a few points.
Scored at will.
Yep, setting up a rematch. One that's highly anticipated, in my opinion. First time was 8-0 Oilers. So I'm ready for it. Round 2.
It's going to be a good one.
Okay, and in the D2 Varsity division, we have the first matchups, the Cougars and the Eagles. And this was not the, I don't want to say blowout that I personally expected. This was not a cakewalk by any means from what I was expecting. But it was 14-6. The Eagles showed up, showed out, and absolutely gave the Cougars all they could handle. I got to watch that one as well.
And I had it pointed out to me a couple times, especially as it pertains to the D2 side of the bracket. A lot of the teams that were coming off their bye week, the first round bye, it showed. The rust was there, and kind of what it typifies that is the Cougars were lined up in the victory formation and kneel on the ball and fumble the ball.
Into the defense.
Back,
off his foot into the defense, literally.
Eagles took the ball. They couldn't do anything with it.
Right.
But that just kind of shows.
And then they tried the victory formation again, and they actually it worked.
Off.
It worked that time.
Best formation in football, but you got to be able to pull it off.
Oh, my.
So, and maybe.
Oh. I mean,
know.
really, we saw them go into that formation, and we turned our backs.
Yeah.
We thought, okay, you've got this.
And we heard the crowd roar, and you look back looking for the Cougar
And
fans.
the Eagles are jumping up and down. They have the ball. What's going on? And that's a one-possession game.
Yep.
That could have been
That could
bad.
have been the upset.
Yes. But the Cougars defense held.
Yeah.
Second attempt at the victory formation was.
Well, I talked to Keegan Clark during that game, and he said something. It doesn't matter what Pecos' score is or their record is in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
He said when the guys in purple line up in playoffs, they think it's theirs to win, and they play like their hair's on fire, and it was fun at all levels. Pecos came out and they punched people in the mouth and kicked people around, but unfortunately, they didn't come out victorious, but. Man, a lot of respect is always.
We all knew they were there.
Yeah, Pecos was in
we
the
felt
building.
their presence. So
Next round was a really good game. Steers and Buffaloes. I talked to Davion Dawson and Andre Rushing before the game. Super confident, and I told them, "Look, guys, I love the enthusiasm. I love the confidence, but this is not the Buffaloes team you guys played a few weeks ago."
Yeah,
and they understood that, and. Come kickoff, man, the Buffaloes really came out and showed that they were not the same team the Steers had played, and
that one was a back and forth. I mean, my opinion, I think the Buffaloes figured out that Dawson combination there. Who's that? Dawson and who? Rushing. And they had a few breakout plays, but there was not early. not early. They didn't have anything wild and crazy like
No,
we've
but
seen all
towards
year.
the end, Dawson,
It
and
it
defensively, Dawson. There was one particular possession where he had missed a tackle or something, and he came back to the huddle with his head down, and Coach Roger Eddington and a couple other coaches were yelling at something to him. It was positive. They were, keep your head up, this, that, and the other. And they said something to him. I didn't catch what it was, but it's like a switch flipped on the kid.
I think they
And
promised him ice cream.
He started doing this number right there, and they said, "Watch this." And that play, he sped through there, took out the guard, took out one of his own players. I mean, it was like a wrecking ball coming through. He was leaving bodies as he went.
Yes.
And made the tackle. And I was like, well, if he can do that every play. But
Goodness.
it was one of those, whatever the magic word was, they found it. And
They found his trigger.
So.
Yeah. So, championship matchup there is going to be the Cougars versus the Steers. And that one's going to be fun to watch. I think that one was 18-14, a tight one regular season as well.
Yep.
So,
and that's the matchup the Steers wanted. I mean,
that's true.
Roger told me the whole day, hey, that's the team we want. That's where, and that's great. I mean, you want the coaches and the players to want a team that's going to challenge them and a team that's going to put up a fight. You don't want the walkovers, and they want the Cougars, and they're not going to be walked over.
And I believe that wasn't this game over with before the Cougars Eagles game, and we were on the sidelines talking about that. How much he wanted that matchup.
Yeah, they ended just a little bit before, and
I got to stand there and
Eagles
watch
were
the
still
end.
fighting.
Yes.
So
yes.
they ended just a little bit before, and kudos to all the teams that moved on. So it's going to be a whole weekend of good matchups, especially in the championship division.
That was a good round. Okay, so we are going to go right into the flag championship matchups. D1, D2, 2 games, predictions. Let her rip, Tater Chip. What you got?
D1 flag, Gators, Cowboys. I got Claters, Gators.
Claters, Gators. That one, regular season matchup was 28-15. If not mistaken, probably the closest anyone has come to Clater in his Gators. Score-wise?
It was among the closest, I'm sure.
One of the closest, so that should be a good matchup. But I got Claters, Gators, Diego and squad and all those guys. I think they'll take it to. I'm not gonna say take it to. I think they will outduel Chooch and Gang and the Cowboys. Yeah. My opinion.
Cowboys in the championship round is going to be a theme throughout this prediction segment. So.
Yes.
But as for this one, I think we got Gators. So
Gators on this one. Division 2. The mighty Cougars and Bishop taking on the Buffaloes. So, Steers took it to the Cougars. I think, hopefully, who knows? They may have woke the beast, and there's no telling what they'll do in the championship now. But
did they wake the beast, or did they expose the flaws?
It could go either way. Depends on which end of the.
I think the last couple games, some things have been shown about that Cougars team. They're a great team. Obviously, they're top seed and they're going in undefeated. But that invincibility is no longer there.
This one. I agree. Were they exposed? Possibly. Were the Buffaloes paying attention? They had their own game going on. Regular season, this game was 24-0. So you just gotta know. I just wonder if the Buffaloes were paying attention. Like I said, the games were going on simultaneous. Did they have a parent over there watching that game to pass that message along?
Oh, you'd be crazy to not think that they weren't watching each other. They were watching each other, and I think whereas everybody's known since week 1 what the Cougars have, Ryder Green with the Buffaloes is kind of come on. I think
he's the X factor. Yeah. I agree. I think he's going to be I really think he's going to be the difference.
I've got the Buffaloes.
I was going to say, I'm going to go with the Buffaloes on an upset as well. It's going to be a doozy. Buffaloes. And I don't think you didn't know.
Well, let's go now.
So, boom.
No, we're playing now.
Go, let's do it.
Hopefully she can edit all this out.
I don't know.
We're going to start with the D1 freshman matchups. Cowboys, Panthers, championship game. Man. I'm not going to pick against Coach Chuck. Sorry.
There you go. I believe in the regular season, I picked, was it this one? This Cowboys Panthers.
This is where you jumped off the herd.
The herd wagon. Yeah. Yep.
The prediction herd around the world.
That really? Come on now. I'm gonna go with the 3-time overall MVP. I'm gonna jump on his back. I'm sure he could carry that load, and I think he takes them to the big dance, the big show. They collect the rings.
Most definitely.
Cowboys in this one.
Yep, Cowboys. And then in the D2 matchup, we have Steers and Mustangs. A matchup of Evans and Icebox. Evans and everybody. Evans against the world.
Yeah, our defense. I mean, just throw it out there. Our defensive unit has come alive. You know, from the middle to the corners to the linebackers. We've got the headhunter with Dela Cruz back at safety. So I think it's gonna be a good rematch.
Yeah, most definitely.
So
again, me and Keegan had a lot of time to talk yesterday, and he's been in the league long enough to know how hard it is to get to the big game. Mm-hmm. I've picked the Mustangs all year, but I'm gonna go with Steers.
He's picking the Steers.
We can't be friends anymore.
Oh, we'd be good friends. I mean, I too got to talk to Keegan afterwards, and he expressed how hard it is to get to the championship games nowadays. You know, how hard it is not only to get there, but to win the things. I've only been in the league 3 years now. This is my 3rd year. And, you know, I love every time we get to go to the championship. So I'm hoping that the results this year are different from last year.
Yeah.
I hope they're the same as they were 2 years ago. And it's going to be a good game, but obviously I will be picking the Mustangs. And
or riding home by yourself.
Yeah. So I think we're going to pull it off.
Yeah.
I know we're going to pull it off.
There you go.
There it is. There you go. Moving into the JV championship predictions. First one up is, you guessed it, Cowboys again. This time facing the Mustangs. So Cowboys, Mustangs in this matchup. And I believe that, what was the first time they've met up?
1912.
1912 Cowboys. I think in this one, weapons of mass production will prevail, and I believe the Mustangs take this one.
I want you to give a score.
1912 Mustangs.
Oh, wow. You're like the poetic justice type, huh?
Hey.
I got Mustangs. Again, the Cowboys coming off that tight game with the Gators. A Gators team that really hasn't lived up to their potential all year. And maybe they rose up to meet their challenge with the Cowboys. Maybe it was a pride thing, but to me, the Cowboys really should have won that game by a lot more than they did.
Correct.
And that's nothing against them. I mean, maybe it's just the way the matchups go. But when you're going against the Mustangs, who are going to put up points,
correct,
you as a team have to be able to match them in points. So, you know, it's like teams that play the Texas Tech Red Raiders. You know they're going to put up 60. You just got to put up 61.
Boom.
So,
do the Cowboys have 61?
Cowboys have Jace Dixon and Malachi Mendoza. And after that, I really don't know what they've got that can match up with, you know, Jackson Franco and KJ Miller and Michael Hall. And I watched them play. Those boys play like a varsity squad. So that's why I'm going to go with the Mustangs in that one.
Okay, in the Division II, I know we've been talking about the Cowboys all day. We just talked about the Cowboys Mustangs, but this one is going to be the Andrews Mustangs versus the Big Spring Steers. Division II. I mean, honestly, it's a little mirror game of the Mustangs Steers from the freshmen carrying over into the JV. Yeah. Both organizations bringing both squads. This one, 20-15 in regular season.
Yeah. And it was,
who had the ball last?
Well, it was, you know, Javon Jackson versus Tommy Evans. I mean, they were just battling for touchdowns, and Tommy had one more. So, you know, it's going to come down to who can shut down whose star. All we heard going into the Pecos game was, they just have to shut down number 12, Tommy Evans, and they'll win. Well, that's easier said than done. And we watched Javon Jackson last week against the Broncos, and he's not one that's going to just let you shut him down. So I think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to come down to whose defense rises up and makes the big stops. And obviously, like knowing what I know and going off of prior matchups, I'm going to go with the Mustangs. But I'm looking forward to it because it's a great team that we're playing against, and it's a great group of coaches, and it's going to be a fun matchup. Me being a Big Spring native.
Correct.
Andrews and Big Spring has always been a thing, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to say that after watching that game this weekend, and what the defense did, what your defense did, I still believe, I don't know what you want to call him, strong safety, free safety, the lone ranger, whatever you want to call Mr. Loudermilk, who was back there. He broke up a play late in the game, which I believe was crucial, and I said it 2 weeks ago that he was going to be a determining factor in helping that defense do what they had to do against any passing game. So, my opinion, I'm not saying that the Steers are going to come at you throwing balls all over the place like the Eagles and Correa and all that stuff did, but I think the defense has come along in the last few weeks, and I've said it before.
Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships, baby. I'm going to go with the Mustangs by 6. Whatever, it could be 6-0, 12-6. You pick it. It's going to be by 6. Mustangs will win it. Defense will hold it down for them. So that's what I'm going with. Varsity matchups, championship matchups. We've got, I guess, a doozy, a good one. Oilers, Cowboys. I think the first one was low scoring.
It was 8-0.
Will the second one be? They've had, I don't remember what week that was in the regular season, but since then, the Oilers just put up 34 on the Rebels the round before. Cowboys blanked the Gators 26-0. So apparently we've got some offenses here.
But again, it's two contrasting offenses. You've got the Oilers who like to air it out, but they can also go with Chino on the ground. You got the Cowboys with Josiah Long and Biscuit. Old Biscuit, man.
Goodness.
So, David Baltazar has been in the league since day one, and he's been in some championship games. He's been in some dogfights.
He's seasoned.
He's not faced an aerial attack like the Oilers bring. So if the Oilers come out passing and they stick to the script and then they pepper in a little Chino here and there, I think the Oilers are going to take it.
Correct. Now's not the time
to get cute. No.
To get cute, try that new play you drew in the dirt, in the parking lot, none of that. Stick with what got you there, and I believe that they will prevail. I agree. I think the Oilers will win this one. I honestly think it's going to be by 12, 2 touchdowns. The first one was 8-0. I'm not saying it's going to be a shutout, but I believe it's going to be a 2-touchdown difference. That's my score.
In my expert opinion, I've got each team putting up at least 20.
No, what?
Mm-hmm. Each team putting up 20, and the Oilers winning by less than 6.
So you're saying there's going to be 40-plus points put up in this game?
I think Josiah Long
5-point difference
and Biscuit are a combination that the Oilers are going to have to respect. And I think that Pete Ramos and Andrew Rodriguez and company and Chino, they're going to eat. They're going to put points up.
So in this matchup, defense won't win the championship.
Defense might be the deciding factor, but it's not going to win the game. It's going to be who can put up the most points and who can keep the other offense off the field longer. And sustained drives is what the Cowboys need to have to keep that Oilers offense off the field.
Yeah.
Play keep away with the ball, drive the ball, be meticulous, get it down the field. And
that's why I think it'll be a low-scoring game. I think they're both going to try to milk it. They're going to run those long deals.
I see what you're saying, but I think whereas the Cowboys are going to walk the ball down the field, the Oilers are going to come out quick strike.
They're quicker.
Answer them, and the Cowboys are going to march the ball down the field. So, to me, again, contrasting styles, great game, but I got Oilers.
Oilers, I agree. Oilers will take it.
D2.
Mm-hmm.
Cougars and Steers. The rematch that everybody on both teams wanted.
They both wanted, yep.
So you got Cranfield bringing his new batch of Cougars to the league, and Roger Eddington bringing his Steers, who really, since they merged, the whole Steers organization, obviously, if you look at the championship brackets, they've become a force to reckon with.
Correct.
So, I think a lot of factors played into the Cougars' victory last time that may not factor in this time. I'm going to go with the Steers in an upset.
Steers, yeah.
To give them their championship.
Yeah, the first time they met, it was 18-14 in favor of the Cougars. But I don't remember what week that one was either.
It was a couple weeks, 3 or 4 weeks back. I mean, it was fairly early.
It was late in the season or mid-season, maybe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be. I'm going to ride out the Cougars. You know, I've been on their bandwagon since they came to the league. New kids on the block, and they've left their mark. They've worked all the way through this season, marched through the playoffs. And now I'm not saying it's been any cakewalks, but they haven't. I don't think that they've had anyone expose them or anything like that. It's just, I'm not going to say they've been doing what they wanted either, but they just haven't been held up, slowed down in any way, shape, or form.
Well, Pecos put the brakes on them, but I think that was more rust from the bye week than anything. I think that they're going to come into this next week, you know, showing that, hey, we aren't the Cougars of last week. We're the Cougars of the last 7 weeks, and we're going to do what we want to do. But I think the Steers
are going to say the same thing.
Show
the same thing.
Yeah, so I've got the Steers. You've got?
I've got the Cougars.
All right, moving on to consolation games. It's going to be fast and furious. We're going to get all these scores out
Hold
there.
on. Put them back. All right.
All right. Starting with D1 flag, you got the Rebels and the Panthers. I got Panthers.
I'm going to agree. Panthers. Panthers it is.
Panthers it is. D2 flag, Steers and Mustangs. I'm going to let you go first.
Mustangs. And I say that because I know what they did to them in the first time they played. Means nothing, but it gives me a little insight of what could be done. Mustangs.
Dean Rico, Steers. D1 freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Gators and Seahawks. Seahawks.
What is this, Battle of the Bulge? What's going on here?
Battle of something. It's not.
Yeah, it's.
I got Seahawks. I mean,
You're going Seahawks?
Sean Abron, in and of himself,
Is
the
enough
way
to.
that Gators
Seahawks.
team is playing.
Seahawks. I'm in like Flynn.
Lil C. Gonna get
All
that
right.
Lil Dub.
Buffalo's Cougars.
You're just gonna go right past. Okay.
Well, I mean,
Whatever. Buffalo's Cougars.
Buffalo's Cougars. D2
Freshman?
freshman.
Buffaloes.
Yes. I saw what they did to the Steers. We've seen what I think Santiago could run through them. I mean, you got Lechuga in the backfield taking care of the defense.
West Moreno.
Buffalo's. West Moreno.
Buffaloes.
I mean, those guys, they're all out there.
Got it.
Buffaloes.
JV.
JV.
Gators and Panthers. Junior varsity. Last time they played, it was like a 6-0 game. Panthers won that one.
You repeat? Yes. Panthers. Panthers JV.
Panthers. Yeah. Gators. So heartbroken on that deal.
I mean, yes. I mean,
It's not for lack of talent. It's just
I'm looking at what the Panthers and the Mustangs did, what the Panthers did with the Mustangs in that aerial assault. I mean, if you can hold down something like that to 13 points, Gators don't have that.
What the Gators have to do is they got to find something other than Jace Thompson, league MVP. Great weapon to have back there, but you got to have things around him, and you got to have other options. And last time I saw him play, it was predictable. It was one dimensional. And granted, when you're playing a great team, you kind of run out of options, but they ran out of options really quick.
There you go.
So I got Panthers.
Panthers. All right. D2 JV. Eagles. Broncos.
Eagles. All day Eagles.
Hector's got this. I mean, I know Hector's not playing the game. I'm sure.
You'd have thought it was. He was running down that field yesterday or this past weekend.
That's right. He had his wind pants on and long. He was geared up. He was just missing a helmet. That's all he was missing. Eagles. I think Eagles will take this one. Go get him, Hector. D1 varsity. Consolation. Rebels. Gators.
I've heard rumblings again from the Rebels camp
Are they all? They're good to go now.
I don't know if
No, they're still
everybody's.
missing.
I don't know if everybody's on board. So, I got Gators. I mean,
Yeah.
Levi and company have not put a full game together this year. They've won the games they should have won and lost some games they should have won.
Mm-hmm.
In games they should have been competitive, they weren't.
I'm
gonna
it's
go
a
with
roller
Gators.
coaster. I mean,
Yeah.
they put up 40, then they get blanked, and then I mean, it's just
They're due.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Rebels team with D.D. Wright, he's a good kid, but I don't know if he's going to be there. I don't know who's going to show up. So,
right.
Not knowing that and knowing that the Gators are still going to show up and finish out the season, I'm going to go with Gators.
Gators. I agree. Gators on that one, and then our last one, D2 Varsity, Eagles and Buffaloes. I am going to go with the Buffaloes. Let me see here. Real quick.
I got Buffaloes.
You got Buffaloes? Yes. Buffaloes. Again, I understand. We're in the playoffs. It's the consolation. It's
Vegas.
the end-all, be-all. It's the purple people eaters.
Yeah.
You know, I understand all that. But Buffalo's blanked them last in the regular season. It is the playoffs. I don't think it'll be as easy. I still think the Buffaloes will pull it off.
So there's your consolation games.
Okay, as we wind down the championship series or the championship weekend here in the PBYFL, I want to go and let everyone know that we do have the next big event all lined up. It's the Duel in the Desert coming to you December 14th and 15th. Just a reminder, guys, we've got this is invite only, and we have all the best teams from all the organizations here in West Texas, TIFA, PBYFL. We're bringing them all in. So, it's going to be the first 6 teams per division. Pricing is coming soon. This is also going to be, you can only bring your fall roster. So whatever team you had put together when you started this season in fall, that's the team you're bringing to the duel. This is not the time to be putting your all-star squads together and all that. That's for a different tournament. So fall rosters only. Again, Duel in the Desert coming to Grande Stadium December 14th and 15th. Mark it down. This is where we're going to settle it all, folks. Can't wait. We'll see you guys there.
This year's West Texas Classic All-Star Tournament will be held Martin Luther King weekend in Midland, Texas. We will have teams from 7 regions, including Amarillo, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, Abilene, El Paso, and a Permian Basin team. Get with your regional directors for tournament date information, tryout information, and pricing. Your Midland director is Zach Brown. Your Odessa director is Robert Hernandez. And Matt Laudermilk will be your Permian Basin director. Don't miss out on this event. Get with your directors for more info soon.
I'm about that action. Boss, I'm about that action. Got this fire in my bones. You can see it in my passion. Make them feel it when I'm smashing. Cause you know what I do this for. I put my heart up in this game. And man, my work is beautiful. I cannot stop, I will not stop. And you can't stop my grind. Now I see you, pretty victory. I got you on my mind. Now I cannot faint, I will not choke. I can't afford to stall. Now on the grind, I put in time. Oh yes, I